Right. Well, this is the story everyone's talking about, yet no one can quite figure out. Nearly a week later, it's video of the moment a woman was shot in her leg during the third inning of a White Sox game last Friday. A Chicago teacher also injured after the same bullet grazed her stomach. And while both women are expected to be okay, the mystery around where that bullet even came from is only growing. Here's why. Initial speculation suggested the woman who was shot in her leg had a valid firearms card and her gun went off during the game. So that set off a social media firestorm with several people wondering, hey, how did this woman get the gun past security in the bag checks? Well, now, according to the Chicago Tribune, that woman has denied bringing a gun into the ballpark, her attorney even going as far as to say there is proof that her injury was not self-inflicted. So look who is here. Investigative journalist Ben Bradley with our Chicago station, joining me live here in the studio. Ben, we were talking about this during the commercial break. What in the heck is going on here, and why, basically a week later, does the public still not have definitive answers?
So there's an information vacuum because Chicago police have not said much about this other than they don't think the shot came from outside the ballpark. They think it came from inside the ballpark. So in that absence of information, Nichole, there are internet sleuths out there.
Well, thank goodness.
They have all of the answers. And in Chicago, as in many cities, everybody's got a friend or a cousin whose brother's sister's former roommate's ex-boyfriend is the lead detective on the case, and here's what I heard.
Okay.
And that's how this stuff spreads like wildfire. In fact, it made its way to ESPN radio here in Chicago, with a reporter claiming a source close to the investigation said they had learned that one of the two women who was injured had snuck the gun into the ballpark tucked in a fat roll.
Oh, goodness. Yes.
Well, aside from the physics of that, and I think the TSA would probably have a little information on whether or not that is possible to defeat a magnetometer, the Sox went back. They said they looked at their security footage. Their magnetometers didn't alarm. Why would somebody try to get into a ballpark that way to begin with, et cetera? So the answer is almost a week later, we don't know what happened.
We still do not know what happened. All right, I want to talk about some of the, safety implications here. But before we get to that, I think it's important to note the game went on. The concert that was scheduled for after was canceled. Why was the game allowed to continue when at least two people were shot?
So I think it took a while for security, White Sox security, and then Chicago police to realize the extent of what was going on. As you saw from that surveillance video from inside the ballpark, it wasn't as though there were really loud, obvious gunshots in that particular section of the stands. Right there, you don't see people jumping up as they would normally react to the sound of gunfire. Now, some people in that crowd said they heard a pop, but you had this woman who was injured. Stadium security came by. They treated her. Chicago police apparently asked the Sox to stop the game. The Sox didn't stop the game. So then you have this whole issue of all those fans in that area just were allowed to kind of mill around. They don't have the gun. They have not found the gun that was fired. So it was a slow rollout of kind of piecing together what had happened.
All right, well, Ben, that leads me to my final question here. We're going to talk safety. The game was allowed to continue. They still have yet to find the gun. I mean, obviously, this is happening at one of Chicago's two stadiums, but I think that there are some bigger implications here. We have stadiums all over the country. We all have to do the bag searches. We go through the metal detectors. How is the MLB reassuring fans, hey, it's safe to come watch your team, cheer them on, have a good family fun time?
Well, you do have that question of the disconnect between Chicago police, the Sox, and Major League Baseball. There was obviously pressure to continue the game. It went on. It wasn't stopped. Police later said, well, once we realized there wasn't an active shooter threat, we were okay with the game going on. But look, ballparks across the country, including here in Chicago, have magnetometers. You can only bring in those
fancy words. I'm like the metal detector.
I can't spell it. They have the clear plastic bag rule. One of the women did have a bag. It was checked. The reality is you are processing tens of thousands of people into a ballpark, and you're doing it often with private security contractors. It can be difficult. I guess in the White Sox case, you're really only processing in about 20,000 people because they haven't been very good. But well, my point is, no place is totally secure, and the reality is we may never know what happened here. because in Chicago, fewer than 1 in 5 non-fatal shootings are ever solved. It's just really hard to figure out where gunfire came from, especially when it happens in a crowd of thousands.
Right, in a crowd of thousands. And yes, there are quite a few incidents that Chicago police are investigating.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.